Welcome to Long Lake in Sinclair, Maine, where a group of area people are attempting to break the world record in the Ice Carousel category. For those not familiar with ice carousels, this involves getting out on a frozen body of water and cutting out a circle of ice. This circle is then powered by some mechanical means to begin spinning. Here at Long Lake, this is the third year that an ice carousel has been cut. In each of the previous 2 years, the carousels have been much smaller in diameter. However, this year, this ice carousel is being made large enough to break the world record of 400 feet or 122 meters in diameter. This year's ice carousel is being cut at 427 feet or 130 meters in diameter. This year, with the cold weather in northern Maine, the ice is currently 31 inches thick, with 14 inches of snow on top of the ice. This video is about the work that was involved over 3 weeks to create this year's ice carousel.
Well, this comes from an idea from Roger Morneau and his team. They're a bunch of people from Senegal that enjoy doing things that no one else does. And they came up with the idea of making this ice merry-go-round a few years back. And I know for the last 2 years they've been making small versions of what we're doing here today. This here comes from actually out in Minnesota. There's a gentleman by the name of Chuck Zwilling. They're a big family, nice folks out there, and they set the world record this past January for 110 meters, which was a world record. But recently, just 2 weeks ago in Lohja, Finland, they broke the world record with their big event that they put out there. There was 20,000 people that came out for that event. And Lohja, Finland now has the world record at 122 meters, which is about 400-foot diameter. Today we're trying to break the world record by some 8 meters, about 25 feet or so. We have the technology today to make perfectly round circles and geometry. And today here we're utilizing RTK GPS, which is millimeter accuracy positioning. And with that, we can make a perfectly round circle. This started out in the office, of course. We take a main office of GIS photo. Spencer Karen, who's a GISP that works with us for Northern Maine surveyors. He takes it in CAD. We made our design, and we were able to geo-reference it and position it on a photo. And if you look at it, this was positioned from a photo so that you'll obtain the maximum view from the sporting club. What we have planned to do is we have every 8 feet we have a precisely positioned auger hole. So there's 8 feet between these 2 points here. Tomorrow we want to put a straight edge from 8 feet. In 8 feet you can have a straight edge between the 2 points because the arc of a circle at this diameter only has less than an inch of error. So we're going to be laying a straight edge from edge point to edge point on the inside, and all of our drillers are going to come and abut that 2x4 edge point like a guide bar, and they're going to drill their holes. Roger Morneau Roger Morneau again and his friends have some outboard motors coming, and I think Roger has a bet with a friend of his that Roger said that he can make it spin with one motor.
The process of doing the Ice Carousel began on March 15th when Mike Sear and Spencer Karen used their RTK GPS equipment to lay out the perfect circle on the ice. At each point, an auger hole was drilled through 31 inches of ice, and a wooden stake was put in the hole for later reference. Once each hole was dug, another GPS measurement was taken to assure the exactness of each point. These points were then used by a crew of people equipped with ice augers to drill holes around the entire circumference of the circle. While the points were being drilled, a large snowblower removed the 14 inches of snow around the entire circumference of the ice carousel. This 9-foot path would become the work area for the crews with ice augers and chainsaws. For the following 2 days, crews equipped with ice augers and saws started their work. First, an 8-foot 2x4 was placed between each hole. This would become the guide for the ice augers and saws. The holes were spaced 2 inches apart along the entire 2x4. The saws would then cut out the ice between each hole. This would leave a smooth edge around the entire circumference of the ice carousel. A variety of saws were tried to cut the ice out between the holes. Because the ice was 31 inches thick, chainsaws had to be equipped with minimum bars of 36 inches. With the air temperature being 15 degrees above zero and the winds blowing at 15 miles an hour, water that splashed onto the chainsaws would freeze. It was a constant battle to keep the chainsaws running. A homemade saw consisting of a 36-inch chainsaw blade powered by a small gasoline motor was also tried. This made a smooth cut, but was slow and would often not grow through the entire ice. Water freezing was also an issue. Some were very ambitious and used hand ice saws. But the thickness of the ice made it very, very difficult. Chainsaws with the long bars were clearly the tools of choice for cutting out the ice between the holes. The chipped ice was then shoveled out around the circumference of the ice carousel. By the end of Saturday afternoon, the crews had cut and sawed around most of the ice carousel. But the cold temperatures kept refreezing the cleared path. Even a large chain tied to the back of a snowmobile and driven around the circumference of the ice carousel was used to keep the ice from refreezing. By quitting time, the path that had taken so much effort to clear was refreezing. The group then decided to start again the following day. On Sunday morning, with temperatures of 2 degrees above zero, the army of dedicated volunteers returned. The first task was to remove the 2 inches of ice that had formed overnight. This did not require saws, but the ice could be broken with ice chisels. By noontime, the entire circumference had been cleared. It was now time to add the outboard motors to the ice carousel. Since the shaft of the motors did not reach under the ice, the motors were allowed to run, causing a cone to be worn down behind the propeller. The water being pushed into the cone would eventually reach the water under the ice. With the outboard motor not budging the ice carousel, a large farm tractor was brought in to hopefully get the ice carousel to spin. A hole was drilled in the ice and an 8-inch log was placed in the hole. A cable was then attached to the log and at the other end to the tractor. After 20 minutes of trying to start the ice to spin with the tractor, the idea was abandoned. It was now 6 p.m. and the dedicated volunteers were ready to give up. But the people in northern Maine do not accept defeat easily, especially to Mother Nature's harsh elements of wind and cold temperatures. The decision was then made to make another attempt in early April when the temperatures would be warmer and hopefully the ice would be a little thinner. The attempt would be in the same place using the same existing measurements and holes that were dug in the ice today. A date of April 6th through 8th was set for the second attempt.
And this is March 30, 2018, and we're here at the Long Lake Sporting Club for the second attempt at making an ice carousel. Today we're hoping to break the Guinness Book of World Records in the ice carousel category. The first attempt was done 2 weeks ago, where the area for the carousel was all staked, marked, measured, but unfortunately the elements were a bit too cold and windy. Although the perimeter was completely cut out, the ice carousel did not want to spin.
Mike's here.
And Mike?
I'm just one of the few of the Ice Busters team. We're all out here trying to have a little fun, raise some money for our seniors for the Meals on Wheels program. And what we're doing today is continuing from where we left off If you recall, when we left off on the 18th of March, it was brutally cold. There was a 30-mile-an-hour wind, minus 25 degree Fahrenheit wind chill. It was just brutal, but we didn't give up. The team persevered, and the team came together, and it was a beautiful thing to see because it came about from nothing. Not much organization, not much planning, just a bunch of people saying, hey, let's go out and do this. And in the process, we're confident that we are going to establish a world record here. Our time period is for April 6th, 7th, and 8th, but today we're at March 30, and we've had the good fortune from Sargent Corporation down in Bangor to come up here with a trencher. It is a special carbide-tipped ledge trencher. It is capable of chewing through ice as well as ledge and rock. And what they've done is to redo the work that we did on the 18th. Our work was not lost. The 1,340 auger holes that were drilled were still all here. It had about a 7-inch skin of ice on top of it. And what this trencher does is to break down that top skin and shave the sides perpendicular so that this 11,000-ton piece of ice is going to spin. And spin it will on April 7th and 8th.
So now have the ice conditions changed since 2 weeks ago?
Yes, if you see what's happened today, I'm here in a shirt. I mean, it is a little bit chilly. The temperature is probably in the 40s, but it's a beautiful day and there's hardly a breeze. It's just beautiful. And when this trencher goes around, it does leave a pile of slush in the trench. And we have slush shovelers here, which are a very important part of what we're doing here. Without that, we can't clean out that trench. And we're hoping that the weather this week is going to be good to us and that the trench is going to stay open and that we are going to spin that disc come the 6th, 7th, and 8th of April. Free hot dog roast for everybody, free hot dogs, and all to raise money for our seniors for the Meals on Wheels program. Tickets are $5 each and will be sold on site from now until the event. So we're very confident that it's going to happen. You can never say with certainty that we're going to do it because it is a world record. No human beings have ever dislodged an 11,000-ton piece of ice and made it spin. So to say exactly when it's going to spin, I can't say yet, but we're confident that it will turn. We have this positive event is just bringing like a magnet all sorts of good people that are just giving out of their pockets to help us achieve our goal. And we just thank everybody. We thank the community, the entire county for coming together and breaking a world record.
Well, we're looking forward to this, Mike. I'm assuming today the trencher will be out here shortly. And
the trencher is coming. Again, Steve from Sargent Corporation, the biggest thank you because the labor involved to retrench this skin that is frozen would have taken a manual crew probably a day and a half.
Yeah. Well, this is good, Mike. Well, we'll just wait for the trencher and we'll start.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And now here we have some technical equipment, and here with me is
Spencer Karen at GISP.
And Spencer, what is the machine in your hand, and what's the relationship to this Ice Carousel?
This is an RTK GPS. It's a centimeter accurate GPS, so it allows me to lay out a perfect radius along this circle to within a half an inch. And I'm checking the holes that were done previously are within about an inch of where I laid it out last time.
So we're able to use the same holes or the same measurements as last time?
The exact same, identical. So now we're going along and I can check right here and I can see it's 0.06 of a foot off of the last time I was here. So that's like half an inch.
That's not much.
That's about as good as you can get.
Well, this is good. This is oh, and here I think we're getting the trencher.
I hear the trencher coming. Yes.
Well, thank you, Spence.
That is quite a machine coming.
trencher. It's actually cutting right through the ice. Passes. The first one just to break the top layer and actually do his mark. Now this is the second pass. He's actually drilling right through, or cutting the ice, following his first pass. The blade is straight down. The length of that auger. The blade just drills right through the ice, making a real smooth surface on the outside perimeter of the ice carousel. Constantly measuring, making sure that the circumference is perfect, making this circle a perfect circle. The trencher follows right behind where the GPS is just marked, cuts right through the ice. The first pass is made just to make sure he's made a straight edge for the trencher. Second pass is a little deeper. That drills right through the whole thickness of the ice. Faster than the auger, the drilling with the auger. The blade is straight down, going through the entire thickness of the ice. Still 31 inches of ice on this lake. Now he's just breaking up the ice, making a nice 10-inch wide trench. Once the trencher goes by, it does leave a lot of slush or ground up ice, which now has to be removed by shovel. We have a small army of people that are now digging up the slush from inside the trench. But once the slush and the ice, piece of ice have been removed, you now have a nice clear trench going right around the perimeter of this ice carousel. This ice carousel has been a real community event. People are volunteering their time, their tools, their food, and just having a great time in this 40-degree temperature here at Long Lake in Sinclair. making good use of the trench. Now we're doing ice fishing. And now we're trolling. Around the perimeter we go. Trying to hook one of the long leg salmon.
I either got a big one.
Oh, you got. Well, we're nearing the end of the day on March 30th. The trencher has gone around most of the perimeter except for about 200 feet, which we're going to leave just to make sure the ice doesn't shift until next weekend. Then on April 6th through the 8th, this is going to be dug out with augers, outboard motors placed on the ice, and this will spin. The trencher has certainly done a lot of work. And this is April 6th, 2018, and it's a continuation of making this ice carousel on Long Lake. We're here at the Sporting Club in Sinclair, Maine, where an army of people are getting ready to remove some of the snow that has fallen this past week. A 12-inch snowstorm happened 2 days ago and covered this whole area with a nice blanket of insulating snow. As you can see, the snow removal is going quite well, especially with this huge tractor. Although the perimeter of the ice carousel was dug out last weekend with the trencher from Sargent Construction, this week has been cold temperatures and has refrozen a few inches on the surface. Now it's a matter of re-cleaning the perimeter of this ice carousel. Out in the middle of the ice carousel is an ice house built by Reno Wazin. This is going to serve as a shelter as well as containing some emergency materials just in case it's needed here at the ice carousel. Currently the perimeter is being slow blown to remove the foot of snow that fell the last 2 days. And the people continue to measure, making sure that we're keeping right on the perimeter of this perfectly round ice carousel, while an army of people are sawing through the ice to clear off the trench around the perimeter. The Long Lake Sporting Club in the background, hosting this event. This one is a small snowblower that's cleaning the perimeter of this ice carousel. A lot of snow on the ice. We're getting close to the end. One group has been going around the circumference from one side and the other one is coming from this side. This is a section that was done with the trencher. And now all we have is about 2 inches of ice on top So it's going fairly fast, cutting it with the saw and just taking the ice chunks out from the trench itself. And we're down to the last 4 feet of the entire circumference of this ice carousel. We're actually just cutting the ice that's on top. That's been frozen this week after the trencher has gone through. Once the hole has been cut out, it's a matter of removing the pieces of ice from the trench itself. This has been a great day. And here with me now on this ice carousel is your name?
Roger Morno.
Roger Morno. You from where, Roger?
St. Again, right up the other end of the lake in the Castaciones.
Now, you're here at the ice carousel. I noticed there's some sawing going on, or the trench is being dug, but your expertise is with outboard motors and making this thing turn.
That's right. 2 years ago we did a 150 footer and last year we did a 200 footer. And last year the only thing we did was put a single 4-horse motor in that, and after about 10 minutes it began to spin, and then it was spun at about 0.3, 0.4 miles per hour at the outside perimeter.
How thick was the ice last year?
The ice was 26 to 28 inches. That's a question I get asked all the time. You got 28 inches of ice, your motor is 24 inches, how does it work?
Right.
Well, that's simple. The propeller is spinning, moving very warm water up against the ice at a high rate of speed. So in literally 5 to 10 minutes, you have an augured hole like this, it begins to get eroded at the bottom, and then finally it's a long tapered shaft behind the motor. So the problem of the long foot on a motor is not a problem at all. The motor will erode itself in channel to provide propulsion within minutes, not hours.
The warm water just kind of wears out the ice.
And you have some heat from the exhaust from the motor, but it's mostly the motion of the water up against the ice that melts it out.
Now this one here, this ice carousel is 425 feet.
It's a monster.
It's a monster. No.
At 28, 30 inches of ice, it's going to weigh in the vicinity of 10,000 tons. So it's going to be quite heavy to move. So we're going to use 3 motors at 3 separate points around the mass to help it move.
To get it going.
Yes, it'll move faster with 3 motors, obviously.
Would it matter then if you took 2 of them out? Could you say we ran it with 1 motor, or with just 1 motor, would it just...
Oh no, 1 motor would run it fine. I already got a bet going over there. I'll bet $1.
Yeah.
I'll bet $1 my 4-horse would make it turn.
A 4 horsepower.
That's what we used last year. 200-foot circle. It weighed obviously exponentially less than this, but it's still 1 motor moved it. It takes a lot more time with less horsepower and less propulsion. But you know, it's force over time, and with virtually no resistance, it just takes a long time to push and get it moving. After we pulled the motor out last year, it spun for 30 minutes. No motor in it.
No motor in it. Just the momentum of the ice.
Just the momentum of the iceberg rotating. It's pretty amazing, actually.
So you're going to be here on Sunday, or are you going to try this earlier?
I don't think we're going to spin it this weekend, because we've advertised for next weekend. Right now what we're doing is preliminary prep to get it going. We'll come out Friday night, in the afternoon I should say, and we'll try to get the motors to erode their holes and such, so that for sure it's spinning Saturday, and then we'll spin it all the way Saturday and Sunday, right through the night. We're just going to leave the motors in it.
Well, Roger, this is quite an accomplishment. Not only to break the Guinness Book of World Records, but it's nice for the community. And we saw that on the first attempt. There were a lot of people here. And it was miserable.
A lot of man hours involved in this.
Yes, there were.
Yanni over in Finland, I want your plaque. Bring it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So now we're getting ready to make holes in the ice to put 4 outboard motors. We're going to put the holes at 90 degrees on this circle. We're putting the holes about 12 feet from the edge of the ice. That's to make sure that the motors, once that they start turning, they're going to wear down some of the ice, making sure that it'll keep a barrier of ice between the circumference and the motor hole. There's still 30 inches of ice on the lake, quite a ways down. There's been absolutely no melting from when we started 2 weeks ago. It takes the whole auger just to get down to the water, and there we go. So we're going to make 4 holes in the ice so that we can put the motor shaft down in there. We'll actually put a wooden frame over this to hold the motor in place. So this is our 4th motor hole on this Ice Carousel. Each are at 90 degrees.
What's that? I'll go. I got the other running. Oh, you can do the next one? You can do 2. No, I'd rather do the first one.
And this is Saturday, April 7th. Yesterday, the entire perimeter of the Ice Carousel was cleared off. But during the night, Mother Nature continued to plague northern Maine. We have 2 inches of snow, and this morning, the first thing we need to do is start cleaning off the perimeter one more time. The objective today is not only to clean the perimeter, but install the outboard motors, 4 of them hopefully, to get this Ice Carousel going. The volunteers are getting ready to start their day here at Long Lake. So the first thing that we need to do this morning is to clear the ice that formed overnight around the entire perimeter. We have about just slightly over ½ an inch of ice. And now the crew is just chiseling the ice and then scooping it off on the side. Now that the perimeter has been cleared of ice, the next step is to install the outboard motors. The holes were dug yesterday, clearly marked for safety purposes, but this morning the outboard motors, 4 of them, will be placed in these holes and will turn this Ice Carousel. The last 70 feet of the perimeter that's holding this ice together is now being chiseled off. In a short time, the entire 360-degree circumference will be free of ice. The excitement is high this morning, with many volunteers cutting away at this last section of ice that's holding the ice carousel to the ice on the main lake. And these are the last two pieces of ice around the entire circumference of the ice carousel. It's completely free. Now it's a matter of seeing it turn using the outboard motors. And now we're installing the outboard motors that will power this ice carousel. The motor is mounted on the frame. Now the first motor is mounted and started. Soon this ice carousel will go round and round. This is the second motor going in.
It is. Go back and check on mine to make sure it's laid there.
And this is the third motor going in. This one is a long shaft, although with 30 inches of ice, I suspect it doesn't reach below the surface of the ice. This is the last one, last motor, and also the biggest one. We've had 6 horsepower, 3 horsepowers, but this one is a 15 horsepower 4-stroke.
Yeah, but the climate changes every day.
One of the more important things to have is some kind of line or some kind of marker to see if the ice will actually spin. And what we've done here is we've put a line of blue that goes across the trench. This will tell us if the ice carousel spins. A lot of anticipation here for this thing to spin. A lot of people have come here today in anticipation of watching this ice carousel spin. People from all over the area have gathered just to enjoy this community spirit. We'll be having lunch shortly, but now it's a matter of just waiting for the ice carousel to spin. Shortly, all eyes are going to be on this blue line to see if it actually moves.
Long Lake World Record Ice Carousel just started moving.
Hey, the ice carousel is moving! I can't believe it! It has moved over 6 inches! you can actually see it moving. The line was straight across 10 seconds ago, and you can see it's moving slowly. It's already gained about 2 feet. Quite a feat. This ice carousel on Long Lake in Sinclair, Maine. It is moving. Now the motors will kick in, giving it more speed. The line, where it started, it's at least 5 feet from where it originally began. As you can see, it continues to move. It's now at least 6 feet from its original mark.
More like 10 feet.
We have 2 boys here that are actually moving this ice carousel with 2x4s. You can see they're pushing against the ice, actually creating momentum and causing the ice carousel to turn. You can actually see it.
It's moving.
As you can see, we're slowly moving. The ice carousel is spinning. Slower now. The motors really haven't kicked in, but it's definitely moving.
This is a view of a stake that was on the carousel, and as you can see how fast the carousel is actually moving.
And who said the ice carousel wouldn't be turning even by hand? This is 425 feet in diameter, being pushed by 2 young boys. As you can see from the stick that's on the carousel, how quickly it's actually spinning.
It actually feels funny being so close to the edge and watching the ice carousel go round. This is the blue line that was used to see if the carousel would move. It is now more than 100 yards from the starting point. Now that the carousel has broken the world record, the size and diameter of the ice carousel must be measured and certified by an independent surveyor.
Now broken on Long Lake in Sinclair, Maine.
Chuck Zwilling from Minnesota. All the way from Minnesota. Former world record holder.
Very good.
Yep.
Now what about you?
Mike's here in the crew, the big ice carousel. Couldn't miss it. I was in Finland when they broke our record. They did 122 meters with about 12 to 14 inches of ice. And right here, Mike and Roger and the boys, it's about 30 inches of ice and it's 130 meters. They're having it verified with the surveying company. They'll probably pull a tape just for show later. But congratulations, unbelievable, 11,000, 10,000 tons spinning, and quite frankly, it's moving pretty quickly now. Well, obviously the 30 inches of ice is the unbelievable part. We only had about 15 inches of ice and, you know, obviously smaller. So you add that extra 20 meters and double the thickness of the ice. We were about 3,500 tons of ice. They're between 10 and 11,000 tons here. The weather is about the same, looks just like Minnesota, feels just like Minnesota. The carousel is, you know, 20 meters bigger than ours, and it's about 3 times the weight. They're between 10,000 and 11,000 tons, and we were about 3,500 tons.
Next year.
Oh yeah, for sure, guaranteed. I mean, my guess is, if I were to look into the future, you know, I know we'll do something 130 plus meters the first January 5th of 2019, and then I'm sure Jani Kapalaito in Finland will beat that record, and then my guess is in March, Mike's here and Roger Murnau and all the boys will do it again, I would guess. Till next year, we'll see you then.
Thank you.
All right.
And here we're doing some official calculations using an independent surveyor to determine the exact diameter, circumference, and size of this ice carousel. This part is necessary to enter into the Guinness Book of World Records. And now we're getting close to the full revolution of this ice carousel. That blue line was matched with the blue line that's right here. So we're within 60 feet of completing the complete circumference, or one revolution, of this ice carousel. The two blue lines are getting close to each other. You can see one is right here at the bottom left, and the other one is about 25 feet away and fast approaching. This is going to be the full revolution of the ice carousel here at Long Lake in Sinclair, Maine.
About to happen, Don.
We are getting close. As you can see, the lines are fast approaching. And this is going to be to break the world's record of 122 meters. The crowd here is just unbelievable. Lots of people are here to enjoy this.
Count slow. I don't know how you're going to count down from there.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Yeah, almost. And this is it. One complete revolution of the ice carousel. Woo, woo, woo. Nice. That's it. We've done it. And so this not only breaks the world record, but it certainly has added a lot to this community. The people have just rallied. So until next year, when there's a possibility that we're going to try this again. Thank you to Mike Sear and his crew for organizing this, to Roger Morneau for doing the mechanical propulsion section of this ice carousel. Here we have the start time of the revolution, 11:47 a.m.
Woody's, biggest dealer in the Northeast.
And it completed one complete revolution at 2:35 p.m. Pretty impressive.
We talked to our rep, and he said,
Okay, today is Sunday, April 8th, 2018. We're gathered here on Long Lake on a rotating ice carousel. We have Kevin Bollier and his friend flew up from New Hampshire.
Carl Linsing, yeah.
Carl Linsing. Thank you guys for coming up and landing your beautiful chopper on our rotating ice carousel. We're currently spinning around at about 0.15 miles an hour. And we're gonna do about 5 or 6 revolutions today, about 1.5 miles of spinning. We thank everybody for coming out. This was a complete team effort. 1,341 auger holes were drilled back in March. And when Mother Nature said, you're not gonna spin it this weekend, we came up with the idea of spinning it this weekend. So Sargent Corporation came up from Bangor, donated their services with a trencher and brought this project back to life. We thank them very much. And then to the 100+ volunteers who worked on this carousel tirelessly and with positive energy for our community, for the Meals on Wheels program, for our senior citizens. Seniors, this thing is rotating for you. Thank you very much.
congratulations. Pretty good.
Just set the world record officially, and thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting Meals on Wheels. We will be cutting a check this week for well over $5,000. All the Ice Buster team, everybody that dug any one of the 1,341 auger holes. Thank you. Roger the man! Steve Raymond from Sargent Corporation, who came up here with the big ice trencher, 12,800 pounds on the edge of disaster, clearing out our circle. Thank you. All the long saws who cut some ice. Thank you.
Roger!
Longer is better, I guess.
Hey, Roger, what are you going to say? Let's hear it. Roger, it's more time.
Just one more thing. We have drawn all the prizes, and the prize list is outside. We didn't want to bother you too much, so we drew all the prizes, and the winners are listed outside. So as you funnel out of here, you can pass through, check the list down to see if you're a winner. And if you don't want to check it, that's okay too. We will be calling you. We have your name and phone number. All the prizes have been drawn. And thank you so much for donating. Thank you for being a part of this.